What's going on, everyone? I'm here today to talk about a subject that brings me no joy, but we do need to discuss the status of the show Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and the fact that it is essentially dead. Now, some people out there will be saying, so what? It's been a dead show for years. But that's not the case, and I wouldn't be talking about it if I didn't love this show. From the very beginning, I was a fan of Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I thought that the inclusion of Coulson was well done from the movies, and I loved the new characters as well, like Fitzsimmons and Agent May, and I thought that they did a well enough job at the beginning of the first season. Lots of people fell off before the end of the first season, which is a shame because that's when it started tying in with Winter Soldier, the second Captain America movie, where Hydra was inside of S.H.I.E.L.D. and it kind of blew up. So what do they do with the show after that? And the way they went about it was really interesting. If you stuck through the first season, you would see pretty much everything pay off. All of the one-off episodes from the earlier part of the season were actually building towards something, mostly Deathlock. But and then if you stuck on with season two, it got even better with more characters introduced, and they started working on the Inhumans arc, which this show did way better than the actual Inhuman show somehow. And that carried over into season 3, which also was very interesting and had some space travel and things. And then season 4 brought in Ghost Rider and the LMD stuff, which was actually kind of scary, if I'm being honest, and the framework. And then season 5 brought in time travel, and season 5 as a whole brought back so many things from the past seasons. It reintroduced old characters and brought back concepts and plot points, and it really was a perfect way to send off the show. And that's honestly because that's what they thought they were doing. The creators of the show were under the impression that they would not be getting any more seasons after season 5. The season 5 finale is literally called The End. And it probably should have been. The reason I say that Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. has died is because of the way things were handled in the 6th season. Now, it's no secret that the Marvel movies and the Marvel TV side have never really gotten along all that well. You can see that from the near lack of any inclusion of any television things in the movies. I think that the cameo from Jarvis in Endgame is the first time that anything from the television side has gone over to the movies. And a major premise of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. at the beginning was to tie in to the movies. And it's very clear in season 1 that they were doing that, with every other episode being a reference to Stark or Banner or Captain America. They would just throw those out in conversation, or Romanoff, that was mentioned a lot too. But as the show went on, it talked less and less about the movies and dealt more with what it was dealing on its own. Sure, there was a reference to Age of Ultron and that sort of thing, but there wasn't a direct tie-in like they had with Winter Soldier. That was pretty much the biggest thing that they ever crossed over with. Again, there were references in Civil War to the Sokovia Accords and that sort of thing, but after that, they just kind of stopped referencing the movies. Maybe part of that is because of the slate of movies that were occurring at the time. I mean, after Civil War, you had Doctor Strange, you had Guardians 2, you had Spider-Man Homecoming, Ragnarok, Black Panther. None of those are really going to cross over with the people on the streets in America, I guess. Except for maybe Homecoming. But I don't think that is an excuse, because Ghost Rider did kind of reference Doctor Strange with the portal thing, but I think the show just found its own footing a little bit more and realized that they didn't have to be beholden to the movies as much. And that's where things get a little hazy. See, at the end of season 5, they started making references again to the movies directly. This, of course, being Avengers Infinity War. And it's not just a passing reference either. People claim that there wasn't enough information shared, but there's no way that they could have known some of the things they did. They reference Thanos and his forces coming to Earth, which anybody could have guessed from what was building up to Infinity War, but they specifically mentioned in one episode all the crazy stuff happening in New York. This is the very beginning of Infinity War, with Iron Man and Bruce Banner at the Sanctum Sanctorum, as well as meeting up with Spider-Man. There's no way that they could have known that unless they found some leaks or something. They had to be told by their corporate partners. So it baffles me to no end why they didn't share what was going to happen in Endgame with them as well. You see, the problem is that after not referencing the movies for years, at least 2 seasons probably, then they start directly referencing the movies. And Thanos is here on Earth. Oh no, what are we gonna do? And then they don't at all reference the snap, the desolation, the blip, whatever you want to call it. Half of all life in the universe got dusted away, and they don't talk about it once. Furthermore, there's no evidence of it in season 6. Because, as we know from Endgame, it took 5 years for Scott Lang to come back out of the quantum realm, thanks to that rat. But in season 6 of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., it's 1 year later, and nothing has happened. Everyone's still alive. They didn't lose a single agent, except for the ones that were already dying, of course. But nothing happened. I mean, sure, we can talk about my other problems with season 6, like how they introduce a character and kill them off in the same episode like we're supposed to care about them or something like that. Or the fact that Mac and Yo-Yo are broken up again and she also has to kill her boyfriend who we only met like 2 episodes ago. Why should we care? We don't. But I just truly don't understand why they weren't included in on everything. If I were the people in charge, I would have made a deal with them and said, guess what? Season 5 is your last season, but if you wrap it up now instead of going on later, even though you can maybe be able to, we will include your characters in Endgame. I would have loved to have seen the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. coming through one of those portals at the end. Surely they would be willing to help, but I guess nobody had their phone number. And the worst part is that season 6 didn't even premiere until after Endgame came out. There wouldn't have been any spoilers or anything. I guess maybe you could worry about people from the cast or crew spoiling things if they knew what they were working on beforehand, but the season itself didn't come out until the situation was already resolved. So the first episode could have been them meandering around saying, oh no, half of everyone is gone, and then the Avengers fixed everything and now people are back. Or they could have still done 1 year later and just had people be gone. They could have gotten rid of half of the characters. I'm sure the actors wouldn't like that very much, but they could still appear in flashbacks or memories or any other thing, holograms, whatever you want. They could still have the people there without them being there, you know? It just makes no sense to me why they would branch off and do their own thing until the very end, and then the biggest story of all time, not even reference once they come back. And another part that I don't understand at all is that part of the season 6 of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is them trying to figure out time travel, and at the end, they do. What was the point of Endgame if the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. already figured out time travel? It was Iron Man that figured it out, but no, apparently Fitzsimmons just figured it out too, and they didn't bother helping save half of the universe because nobody called them. It doesn't make any sense. In fact, it is in direct contradiction to the movies, which is why I don't believe it. Since Fitzsimmons figured out time travel a full 4 years before Iron Man did, apparently. Now, if rumor is to be believed, they will try and reference this in Season 7 of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., since it was renewed for Season 6 and 7 at the same time. However, I don't know how they're going to do that unless they say that maybe the agents were in an alternate timeline where Thanos didn't win in that situation, but then that reads into the whole thing with the Ancient One and the branching timelines and that sort of thing that they weren't supposed to do in Endgame. Even though Loki's getting his own show about it, so I guess it's okay sometimes. But even if they do address it in that sort of way, it seems too little too late. It's like the people in charge were just trying to make them look bad by saying, oh yeah, build up to Infinity War and Endgame, and then not telling them anything about it so that they would look like fools. Even though the truth of the matter is, it makes everyone at Marvel look like fools when they can't communicate with each other. But I hope that they do address it. I hope that they can fix it. I hope that they can reunite it in with the mainstream Marvel universe. And I hope that, if other rumors are to be believed, that they might even show up in the 5th Avengers movie, or at least some of them. I would love to see cameos by these characters in the movies themselves, and for the people in charge to actually acknowledge the fact that these people have done a good job for at least the first 5 years. Season 6, along with its continuity errors, did have some sort of backsliding in terms of characters and things, to me anyway, but that's a different topic altogether. I do hope that they can remedy this situation. If they do, I will be back here at the end of Season 7 and tell you how they fixed it and how glorious it is and how wonderful the whole show is now that they patched all those holes in the Season 6. But if I can't say that, I will at least keep telling you how great the first 5 seasons of the show are, because to me, there's never been an ending so bad that it ruined the first part of anything for me. Like the show Once Upon a Time. Ended horribly in my opinion, but at least the first 3 seasons I loved unconditionally, and continue to love until this day. And the same will be true for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I mean, I have the DVD over there on the shelf. I love the show. But hopefully I can continue to keep loving it in this last season and maybe even beyond. So, what do you think about Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.? Have you watched it? Did you drop off in the first season? Are you excited for the new one? Let me know all of that and more down in the comments. And as always, thanks for watching.